There you are. Hi, how are you, Sarita?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I am good. So we have had quite the batch of technical difficulties trying to get this Triangle Live up and going, but here we are.
We figured it
And
out. We're geniuses.
yes, we figured it out with some patience and some tenacity. And for those of you who have joined us on previous Triangle Lives, you know that there's often technical difficulties on my side, which is quite funny because after living in India, where internet connection was always horrible, it shouldn't be that way in Columbus, Ohio. So we'll see how we go. For those of you who are first-time joiners for our Triangle Live broadcasts, we are so happy that you're here with us. You can comment along with us, and Sarita and I can see what you have to say, and then it allows us to really have some great engagement. I am really, really happy to have you, Sarita, on with us today. Tell us a little bit about yourself and a little bit about your journey.
Yeah, I'm so happy to be here. Thanks, Naomi. It's been awesome just getting to know you a little bit better.
Yes.
Yeah, so my journey is complex. I went to Africa when I was 24. It started as a 6-month missions trip type of thing where I was just volunteering with different organizations. And it quickly grew into just a full-on love affair with Africa. I started in Rwanda and then went to Uganda, and yeah, just my heart got attached there. And I was mainly working with girl child soldiers who, during the civil war there in Uganda, up in Gulu. And so, yeah, I decided to move there full time, and I just kind of on a whim. And I started a nonprofit, and I lived there for about 6 years. And yeah, it was an amazing journey, highs, lows, ups and downs.
Mhm.
But yeah, just through that whole experience, I pretty much just gave everything I had to give. I sacrificed everything I had. I kind of had this idea that if you just give everything away, then God's just going to fill you up and you're just going to have more. And if you're a good person, you're doing good things, like bad things won't happen to you. And then I realized pretty quickly that wasn't really quite true. Although I'm a little hard-headed and stubborn, so it took me maybe longer than most people to figure that out. So about 6 years in, I really kind of hit this, yeah, just burnout, and we had had a miscarriage and just a lot of emotional things, and I wasn't really processing. I didn't really have someone to process with that wasn't like, I couldn't really share my heart with like my board members or my supporters or people that I was afraid of what they would think. I was afraid of being vulnerable and authentic. And so, yeah, we moved back to the States, and I started this journey of learning to heal myself and
Mhm.
self-care. And then I realized, man, I wish that I had had someone when I was over there who was working with me on an ongoing basis, just like touching base, like doing soul care with me. And so I decided to start doing that for other people. And it's been an amazing journey just being able to provide that, something that I wish I'd had on the field. And so, yeah, that's kind of where I am now.
That's so great. And I think it's so important when you realize that it's when you birth something out of a need that you yourself had, then I think you can operate in a way that really is helpful and meaningful to other people. So yeah, I really love that. So you talked about some of the burnout that you experienced. Can you talk just a little bit about what the signs are and how we would know if we're approaching burnout? And I think one thing to just point out that while you have a background in missions and global work, I think that the topic can relate to all of us inside of the Triangle group. But what
Yeah. So, yeah, and I totally think it relates because I think anytime we move or shift overseas, we're going through a lot of emotional stuff. And I think if we're not processing that baggage on a regular basis, it just really builds up. So
Mhm.
I think with burnout, I mean, for me, the biggest things that led to burnout, I think, was the stress and the just mental weight of carrying the ministry, carrying just the women and kids that I loved and cared for, and just feeling like just all of their needs and just putting that kind of all on my shoulders. And so I think that one of the signs of burnout is just definitely not processing, like having a lot of things build up, but not having processed them well. And so what starts to happen is, for me, it was things like extreme fatigue, not sleeping at night. I would like go to bed and then I'd like wake myself up thinking, oh, I forgot to do that thing. Oh, that girl needs to go to the hospital. I just was, it was kind of a constant state of emergency. It was like my adrenaline was going all the time. And so things I would another say a big sign would be kind of snapping at people and getting angry. Usually you become really critical of self and others. So you start to get angry, usually the people closest to you. So my poor husband took the brunt of most of my anger. But I think just because I was feeling like, oh my gosh, no one's taking care of me, I would just start to get angry at other people. Like, why isn't anyone taking care of me? I wasn't realizing I had to take care of me.
Right.
So I was expecting other people like, oh, look at all these good things I'm doing. Like someone should be helping me. And really, I had to help myself. So, I mean, those are big ones. I think starting to lose passion, for the work or for the place and the people. So starting to get cynical, I mean, as we know, like living overseas, it's not easy, people, the driving, especially in different countries, is so different, but, just kind of starting to lose empathy and compassion for the place and the people. So, I started getting angry at things I wouldn't normally get angry about. And that really bothered me because I really did love Uganda and I loved the people, but I just kind of started getting cynical. Another one is, losing motivation. So procrastinating, just like putting things off, just not motivated to do much. And definitely getting sick a lot. So when you don't take care of your body, another big sign of burnout is just a lot of illnesses. So I developed adrenal fatigue. I had like typhoid, malaria. I had like everything. And my body just wasn't able to heal itself because I wasn't really giving it time to rest. And so I think when you have a lot of repeated illnesses or you end up in the hospital, you're kind of like, like maybe I need to pay attention to that.
Yeah. So, Kim, I don't know if you guys can see, I'm trying to pop these up on the screen, but Kim said prioritizing is a big thing for her. She'd had a massive conversation recently with other triangles about loneliness and self-care. So she said this is a timely conversation.
Okay.
And my mom, Deb Smith, is actually here with us, and she said success, talking about
your mom. That's awesome.
Yes. Yes. Danielle also says real life and real passion. Daniel says, good to see you here, Sarita.
Oh, thanks.
So let's talk about some of your top tips. So we've talked about what burnout is, and I think that we all have different levels of burnout. It's kind of funny because I just got back from the eye doctor and I'm completely dilated. So I'm having a hard time seeing. But one of the things she asked me was if I'm getting enough sleep and enough water and hydration. And I kind of thought it was strange because she's an eye doctor. And she just really laid into me. And she said, if you are not taking care of your full body, it starts to impact things like your eyesight and eye fatigue. And I just thought, wow, how timely was that to Jonathan also says, watching in Cambodia, such important conversations. Welcome, Jonathan.
Oh, there's some of my
And then my mother.
No,
he wondered if you. So let's talk about your top tips. What are some ways that we can remedy burnout? And I happen to have had a sneak peek into some of your ebook that we're going to talk about, and there's some really great tips. So give us a couple of your top favorites.
Okay. So unfortunately, most people think they can recover from burnout quickly because usually we're overachievers, we're perfectionists. So we're like, okay, I'm going to nail this burnout thing. I'm going to get over it. I'm just going to get back to work. Sadly, that's not really that true.
Yeah.
It usually takes a long time. And it takes a lot of commitment to radical change, which I think most of us are uncomfortable with because we want to keep doing our mission. We want to keep serving, we want to keep loving, but burnout really means you have to take a concerted amount of time, usually away from the thing that is causing the most stress and burnout in your life. And so for some people, that's a job change. For some people, that's going part-time or taking a step back. For some people, that's taking a sabbatical. It can take anywhere from like 6 months to 3 years to recover from burnout. And so I think it's just important to recognize that this is something that we have to really devote ourselves to. And it's almost a practice of learning how to take care of yourself, and it takes time and effort. And it's not a quick fix. And so I know people are always bummed out when I say that, but it's also, I think, a great opportunity to explore the things and the reasons that led to burnout in the first place. So that kind of leads me to my second point, really, that go to therapy. I'm like such a big proponent of therapy.
Therapy's not bad.
Inner healing, everything, get it all, just like do it all. I literally did it all. I went to a life coach, I saw a therapist, I went to an inner healer person. I just was like, I need everything. I went to a spiritual director. I think that ultimately we end up burnout for a reason. So it's not just the fact that we're giving and we're not taking time. Usually it's because there's larger issues at play. There are like wounds from our past, childhood trauma, just even belief systems that we have that are wrong. Like I know for me, one of my big ones was, I really wanted the world's approval. I wanted God's approval. I wanted the world's approval. So I was like, if I do all these good things, people will love me. They'll see how great I am. You're just craving that kind of affection and love and approval from other people. And so I think that I had to look at what were the things driving me and how did that drive me into burnout. And so I think really in order to recover, you really have to address those things. So what are your belief systems that are in place that are causing you to burn out? So that's a huge one. It's a big one for me.
Can you see Jenny's comment, Sarita?
Oh, that's my sister-in-law. Hi.
So she's got a great question. And because I'm going to let you read it, and if you could answer it.
Okay, how do you manage the possible guilty feelings that accompany taking time off or away from what is so important to you, but is stressful in order to heal and recover from burnout? Okay, that's a great question, Jenny. That is so hard. I struggled so badly with guilt, especially when really ultimately recovery for me meant I had to lay down what I was doing with the ministry in order to recover. And that was so hard because I kept thinking about all the people that I was letting down. I think that working with my life coach and uncovering, she helped me do like the Enneagram personality test. And that really helped me understand, like I'm a type 2, so I'm a helper. I think Jenny's a helper too. And so usually our motivations are driven by wanting to help other people. And so, but when I started to see like, okay, this is an unhealthy level for me and this is a healthy level for me, that started to help me determine, okay, I don't have to feel guilty about doing this because this is what a normal other person do. And so me like having conversations with mentors and friends who were like, okay, so if you think of where I was on a pendulum, let's say I was swung like way over here to like taking care of others and expending, I basically had to allow myself and give myself
go all the way
over here, which was radical self-care, like putting self first, which was not my MO. And in order to come back to some kind of balance. And so I basically had to, I think, through the permission of others, like my mentors and life coach, and just giving myself permission too, that, ultimately, if we're not taking care of ourselves, someone else is going to have to end up taking care of us. We might end up in the hospital, we might end up sick. And so really in trying to alleviate some of that guilt, I would tell myself, okay, if I'm doing this, then like ultimately I'm going to be a better person for other people. I'm going to be not, placing such a burden on my husband or family members, or if people have kids, I'm going to be a better person, a better wife, a better parent, all these things. And so I think that kind of helped me alleviate some of the guilt of like taking care of myself.
Right.
And realizing too that, I think sometimes we think there's only like one thing in the world that we're going to do, like one mission we're going to accomplish. And I think that really we have so much purpose that we can when we actually recover from burnout, we can put all of that new energy and new creativity into a new purpose. And so I think that also helped me alleviate some of the guilt, that I knew that if I could learn from this and if I could really get this, then I could start something new and I could start something else. And even though it was the end of one thing, it could be the beginning of something else that's even more beautiful.
I love that. Talk to us a little bit about your ideas around the 5-minute journal.
Okay, I love my 5-minute journal. Have you used it before?
No, but I read about it in your ebook. So
yeah, it's so awesome. So I just recently heard about it, so I've just started doing it. But it's just the idea that if you take 5 minutes in the morning and in the evening, just to like start your day out, you start your day out with gratitude. So you write a few things that you're thankful for, and then you write down a few things that kind of, for me, it's like things I'd love to accomplish that day, things I'd love to see happen in the world. And then you just kind of like make these little notes, and then you have like a mantra for that day. So maybe it's, I am worthy of love and I give love away to others, or something. You just make something up that sounds good for you. And it's amazing to me, what I've seen is that like when I write things down, like it actually tends to come true. And if I put that in my mindset just in the morning, so I'll just go grab my coffee, come back to bed and just like write the things down. And just really setting my intention for the day has helped really focus me, and also, remind me of what's important. And so at the end of the day, you can say, what did I do really well today? And so you get to kind of celebrate your success. And then what's one thing I would change? So, tomorrow I don't do that again. And so that makes me aware of like, oh, you know what, today, like I got really angry at myself because I didn't do this well. And tomorrow I'd like to not get angry at myself.
Right.
It really kind of helps just focus, and it's a great practice and I really love it. So I really highly recommend that for anybody.
That's awesome. So I'm freezing up again, but Kim Hafner, hey Kim, how are you? She has a really great point to make. Self-care does not equal selfish, which I think goes back to that whole guilt. So I think, what would you have to say, and maybe other people watching have a good answer for this, is there a way to communicate the process of self-care in avoidance of burnout? How can we communicate that to our loved ones, that this is what we're doing and this is why?
Yeah, I think that was a huge realization for me. I kind of thought of anything as self-care is selfish. So I would be like, oh, well, that's just selfish. You shouldn't focus on yourself. You should focus on other people. I think that the faulty logic with that is that when you do that and you're not taking care of you, you will become a burden on others eventually. And so I think that it was hard at first. I mean, actually, okay, well, I think my family, my mom was like, finally, like, you're taking care of yourself. So like, there were definitely people that were just kind of like, oh, finally, she gets it. But I think that for others, that was tough. Like for some people, making changes with the ministry that hurt them, that was worried them, that, and so I had to deal with other people's feelings and reactions, and that was really tough. I would say the best thing is, learning to set boundaries, like learning that other people don't define me, like someone else's approval doesn't say who I am. Like who I am is I'm someone who is loved, and I know that now. And so I think really getting deep in the core of me of just, the fact that God loves me and I can love myself. I think self-love was such a huge learning to love myself. Like I would literally have to write, I would like literally make lists of like 30 things I love in myself. Like I had to just do that for myself to get it in my soul. I think that the self-care term is hard for people. Sometimes I use the word soul care because that seems a little less like selfish. But in terms of communicating, I think just letting people know where you're at authentically and vulnerably, and just saying, hey, you know what, I'm really struggling. Like I've been struggling for a long time. And I'm actually like in therapy working through some things, and I've realized that I need to change these things in order to be a healthy person. And I would just really love your support and your help with that, so that I can be the best me. Because ultimately, when I'm the best me, I'm going to be able to love you so much better.
The vulnerability is such a big part.
Yeah. And vulnerability is being able to say like, just own your truth, own the fact that, yeah, this is too much for me. Like, I know I hate to say that because I love to be able to do everything, but I've hit a wall,
Yes.
you know?
Yeah. So, Sulakshana from Rio, hello. We're glad you're here with us. So I am never prepared for these things. My battery is dying on my computer. So I want you to start talking about a technology fast while I run and go get my computer to charge my piece of technology. So you talk about a technology fast. I'll be right back.
I'm going to talk to my own face. Which
yes, do that. Yeah. No, we'll just do that.
Okay, yeah, so technology fast. So I think this is really hard for us. I was reading an article recently that just says how addicted we are to our cell phones, our computers. We carry them with us to bed. We look at them over the dinner table. But I think for me, a technology fast is really just setting intentional time where I'm not going to look at my phone or look at my computer. For me, when I was in Uganda, I actually literally just had to like put that stuff like away. I would just go on like airplane mode and I would like put my computer away for the whole weekend, mostly because I didn't realize how much the input of like a certain email from someone. So maybe a donor wasn't happy about something, or I got an email from someone that someone was sick, or I didn't realize how much the input was like, it would just change my day. It would change my mood. It would change, all of a sudden I'd be worried about that thing instead of just focusing on what I had intended to do that day, which was rest. And so I think just having certain rules for yourself, like, okay, when I get home, let's say I get home from the office, okay, maybe it's like 6 o'clock, I'm just going to turn my computer off or put it away. I'm going to turn my phone in airplane mode. I'm going to just turn off Facebook. And I think just having intentional times where you check those things. And my husband is honestly so much better at this than I am. Like, he has like particular times he checks his email, on particular times he checks his Facebook, which is rarely. And I'm not as good about that. So I actually just have to like do airplane mode and things like that because I need to set boundaries with myself. Yeah, and I think that if I'm going away for the weekend and I'm trying to rest or I'm trying to have a day for myself, I try to just not look at that stuff. Mm-hmm. So I just don't even bring it. I don't bring my computer with me, or I just don't have my phone on, or I have it on vibrate or something where I'm not constantly checking it. But I think it's mainly just, having those intentional times, and then I think it's great every once in a while. And I know that Jonathan Trotter was with us. I know I read a blast by his wife who was talking about how they even took, I think, like a week or two, like just completely off the grid. And I think like that's great, just to take an intentional sabbatical from technology, where my husband and I like to go camping. So like, we'll just like drive out to the desert and like, literally, even if you wanted to check Facebook, you can't. Like, you're right. You're in the middle of nowhere.
She finds spots. Yeah, Rachel said she finds spots with no signal and lets her batteries run out when on holiday.
Rachel, good job. That's what we do. We go to the desert, we go hiking, the mountains, camping. We just get where there isn't any signal, and literally it's like, sorry, like you couldn't get in touch with me because I was too busy like taking care of myself. Or
Yep, Jonathan said it was the best 2 weeks ever.
Yes, it's awesome. It's so great. And you just realize like you're not thinking about what everybody else is doing. Like, you're just thinking about what you're doing. You're being present in the moment. And
the thing is, when you go back onto technology, it's ended.
Yeah.
Everything is hunky-dory. That's been a really big lesson for me, that when I shut off, everything is still okay when I get back on.
Exactly. The world didn't fall apart.
Yes. So let's talk a little bit about something that our family knows a lot about, which is the tip. Do you remember having that in your...
For a second.
Oh, did I cut out? So dance parties in your kitchen.
Oh, yes. This is my favorite. So I think it was in college, me and my girlfriends would be cooking dinner together, something we all lived in this house called the Funk House. And it was amazing. And we would just like, I don't know if we got this off of Grey's Anatomy or if we just developed this ourselves, but we would just start a dance party in our kitchen. We would just like put on music and we like cooking and dancing. And then when I was in Uganda, when I was feeling low or just super stressed out, I would just, put on some loud music. For me, that's like hip hop. For some people, that's the Cranberries or Bon Jovi or whatever, and I would just dance around. And it's amazing, like, it's really hard to feel bad when you're like smiling and laughing and jumping around.
It really is.
It's really hard. So if you just need a little like infusion of joy, like you just kind of, I don't know, headbang, dance around, and just kind of let yourself go a little bit and just let the movement of your body just get all that stress away. So yeah, that's definitely.
Yeah, we did those with our kids. Not so much now as they're getting older, but definitely growing up, we would have a 5 o'clock dance party in our kitchen, and it just let the stress of the day melt away. And it also really set up the rest of the evening and going to bed in a connected way. So yeah, totally love dance parties in the kitchen.
That's awesome.
So one of the things, we try to keep these to just 20 minutes so that it's a quick, powerful, impactful discussion. And although it feels like it's only been a couple of minutes, we're up against past 20 minutes. So I want you to talk about what you've been working on and share with everyone who's watching about the book that you've written and then how we can get our hands on that.
Oh, thanks. Okay, so when I was living overseas, I would, towards the end, when I started realizing I was burning out, I started to try and look for ideas for things that I could do to implement self-care. So I would like search the internet, I would go on Google, I try to find, okay, self-care for missionaries, self-care for expats, just kind of like, and I would just wouldn't come back with anything specific to where I was. Like where I was in a really remote region. I was like 6 hours from a capital city, from a really good hospital. There was no gym, like things like that were just tough. And so it was like really hard for me to read these self-care plans, for people that live in the US when I didn't, and I couldn't really implement like most of the things they were saying. So, so recently I've just been thinking about it because with my clients, I'm now a life coach. I usually send them a self-care plan to fill out because I want to hold them accountable. I think the thing about self-care is if you don't have an intentional plan, it's not going to happen. And so writing it down and holding yourself accountable is huge. And so I just wanted to create something that was specific for people that maybe didn't have access to the normal kind of conveniences or luxuries and things that they could actually creatively implement in their life. And you can get as creative as you want to get, but I just wanted to give people some ideas and tips and really just address the whole concept of self-care and why we don't have to feel guilty about doing it. And just put a lot of suggestions in there that would be useful for the population of people that I work with. And so, yeah, it was really fun doing it. It was fun thinking about the ideas and getting creative. Just like, bringing seeds over and planting your own garden and just things that like I didn't have access to nutritional food. And so bringing vitamins, like I brought it's really crazy. I brought my grandmother's old like spinning like bicycle from like 1970 over with me, like in a huge box. And I just would like spin in my house and stuff. I just had to get creative. And and so that kind of helped. That kind of worked for me. And then just communicating that to others. So I started communicating to my board and, hey, listen, like I think about once a month, we're going to take a 3-day weekend and we're going to go off grid so we can just reset. And that way we have more to give. And so I just started trying to implement more things like that and then letting other people know that that's what I was doing. So, but yeah, so the ebook is on my website, saritahartz.com, and just sign up for my blog updates newsletter and you get it for free. And it's and I really do want this to be a collaborative effort. So I would love to hear back from other people, creative things that they do that we can add into the book, things I didn't think of. I'd love to just have those ideas in there as well. So
that's awesome. So the comments are kind of going crazy. We've got a bunch of amazing. The great thing is that and read and have a dialogue in the comment section. Jolene Marquette also has some input around tech. My mom says that she loves your chart idea in the book and fully intends to use it. We can't stay on forever, and we for the rest of the day. Go to saritahartz.com. There's so much goodness there. If you are struggling as a global worker, as a missionary, as investing of your time and your soul into other human beings and other animals and other earth. There's a lot of good. You're an amazing writer, Sarita, so your blog full of wonderful lessons learned. And then if you would like to learn more about the coaching that you do, they website, correct?
Yeah, that's right. Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. Well, are you on social media? Do you have a favorite social media platform that people can follow you?
Yeah, definitely Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I think Facebook's probably my favorite, but I do love Instagram. I love to take pictures and post things. So yeah, definitely. I think just it's Sarita Hartz or Sarita Hartz
Okay.
Writer or something like that.
Perfect. Perfect. Thank you so much for taking the time to do a Triangle Live broadcast.
Thank you. It's been so fun. I look forward to getting to know you here too.
Yeah, absolutely. Ditto on that. And we will both jump back into the comments over the next day or two as people watch this replay. Not everyone could join us live, but let's have a really rousing discussion around this. Offer each other self-care tips, and Sarita will jump in also to have a further conversation. So thank you all for watching. Thanks for being engaged in the dialogue, and we'll see you next time for another Triangle Live.
Thanks.
Bye.